Hi, I'm Ray. This is my workshop, but we're not talking about the workshop today. I repair and restore vintage valve radios, but we're not talking about that today. Clapham Woods, West Sussex. Type into Google or whatever search engine you want. Just type in Clapham Woods and then ghost or ghosts or even West Sussex. I'm in Worthing, West Sussex, and the woods aren't, what, 4 miles from me. In my late teens, I suppose, late 60s, early 1970s, I was into pirate radio. Nothing wrong with that, I still am. And I was looking for somewhere to set up my pirate radio station. There's a group of us lads, and we did this at weekends. Radio channel, not Radio Worthing, but Radio Ocean, anything we could think of. It was great fun. And we used to pirate, usually from the woods, not very often from home, because the GPO, as it was then, that was the equivalent to Ofcom. They come round and bust you. So I was on my own. I went up to Clapham Woods to have a look round for a good site. What I was looking for was like a clearing in the woods somewhere where we could set up our gear, sit there and have a few cigarettes, as we did in those days, a couple of beers on a Sunday morning, Sunday lunchtime, when we're putting out our pirate radio transmission. That was the plan. So I'd gone up there, quite a wide footpath up from, it's all changed now. If you look on Google Maps or wherever at Clapham Woods, you'll see all the roads there. There's a major road and like a spaghetti junction thing. None of that was there. You could drive up Titnor Lane, straight across the main road, which was not much more than a lane in itself. It wasn't a dual carriageway or anything. Straight over to Clapham Woods. All right, and there was quite a wide footpath that went through, right the way through, still does, to, I think, the village. I'd parked and I walked into the woods, looking round for this clearing, and I just happened to turn that way, and I thought, I could just see through there. That looks interesting. That looks like a spot where we can set up the transmitter, aerial in the trees, and do our pirating. Now, have you looked up Clapham Woods yet? No, don't. Watch this first. Don't go going into Google yet. So I walked just through the bushes and that, only sort of undergrowth, into this clearing. And I'm looking round. Ideal. It was ideal. Good trees above. Get the aerial up there. Set the transmitting gear up here. And our car battery to run it all and the rest of it. And I thought, this is great. You could see the path, but as I sort of got down, the bushes that I'd come through sort of obscured me from the path, if you like. So anyone walking their dog or whatever, they wouldn't see us in the bushes. And it was a nice little clearing, and there was, would you believe it, there was even a log for us to sit on. So I thought, this is ideal. I was about to go back. I was going to go back to my car and go and tell the others that I'd found the ideal spot. And I heard a rustling in the bushes. I was about to leave. I just looked round and I saw I thought it was kids. It was a nice summer day. It was the weekend. I thought it was kids in the bushes, come from the village or wherever. I could just see 2 or 3 shapes. All right, it was quite a way away, but I could hear this rustling. I just thought, didn't think much of it, just thought it was kids. And I went back, and that was that. That was my first trip to the woods. I went up there again. I forget when this was, but I took the aerial up there. I told my mates about it, and we decided that, that would be a good spot. I took the aerial up there, which is only a length of wire, basically, and some insulators, and I was going to kind of hook it up from the trees and get that ready to go for when we took the transmitter up there. I was unravelling the wire, and I saw these kids again, or I thought was kids. It looks like shapes, and I assumed it was kids. And there's this rustling going on, looking like that. And then they disappeared. Perhaps they decided to run off. Then I heard the rustling kind of over here, so I'm looking over there, and there's these shapes in the bushes again. I didn't think anything about ghosts or anything like that. If you probably have looked in Google by now, Clapham Woods. It started in the 60s. Ghosts, spaceships. It was in the local newspaper. It was on the radio. I think it was even on the TV, on the news, about dogs disappearing and alien UFOs, ghosts everywhere, all sorts. In fact, I've since read that it goes back a couple of 100 years, this ghostly thing in Clapham Woods. Something about a moon-size light coming down from the sky. This is a few hundred years ago. I only assume that was some sort of flying saucer. But I hadn't taken much notice of that. In fact, I'd forgotten all about that when I went up there. And so I've got these kids, and I thought, I can't put this aerial up. Not with kids running around. I don't want them to see what I'm doing, because obviously as soon as I've gone, they'd come and nick the aerial. So I was about to go, but I then decided that they seemed to have gone. I thought, I'll get this aerial up. I had a fishing rod. I put all that together just to hook it up into the trees. So I hooked the insulators up. It's quite a, 50 feet, 100 feet of wire. I forget what it was. Hooked it up into the trees. Brought the end down to into the clearing where the transmitter was going to be. The kids had disappeared. I just thought that was that. I went up there with a couple of my mates with the gear. We took all the gear into the clearing. Forgot about the kids. They weren't there, which was great. And we set it all up. Now this was the Saturday. All right, we were going on there on Sunday, and we were going to leave the gear up there. We were going to sort of cover it with plastic, and then put leaves and twigs all over it to hide it. We had a plastic sheet with us. It was only the small kind of 20-watt transmitter, not much bigger than that. The car battery, and we had the power supply business. The heaters, well, I'm not going into the technical side, but the valve heaters were run from the 12-volt battery, and we got the HT from this little rotary transformer. And a cassette tape recorder we had for the audio. We didn't leave that there. We were going to take that up the next morning. We used to go on the air about 11 o'clock Sunday. So this was Saturday night. We're setting it all up, getting everything working. We did hear the kids, but they kept away. We could hear rustling. They kept away, and we were talking about it. We decided that as there were a few of us, they probably thought they'd better keep their distance. And also, my mate, the first chap that had come up there with me, they did get a bit close at one time, and he went over to near where they were in these bushes, and he was saying, "Wait, get out of here, you lot, we'll call the police, you're trespassing. If you're not careful, we'll call the police, clear off." And they seemed to, they took notice. And we laughed about that. Anyway, we set the transmitter up. It was beginning to get dark. We had a few problems, one of which was the aerial fell down. That was a funny thing. We didn't know why. It was really hooked up there well, and it just came down. Both insulators just unhooked from the trees and came down. So we had to get all that back up again. And it was beginning to get dark when we eventually fired up the transmitter. Now, we didn't have the cassette tape recorder with us. We were just putting out a carry, just a blank signal on medium wave. That was our pirate radio station, all set up on medium wave, all ready to go tomorrow. So all we had to do Sunday morning was take the cassette tape recorder up there, the tapes that we got, our pre-recorded programs. You're tuned to radio or whatever we were at the time. I can't remember. This is Telstar on 199 medium wave. No, that was Radio Caroline on 199, wasn't it? Whatever we were all set to go. So it had got dark. We're having cigarettes and we're sitting there chatting, and it just got darker and darker. And it was a summer evening, and we decided, right, let's turn the transmitter off and clear off. We'll cover it all up. I happened to look up at the aerial, and I saw the transmitter was on, and I saw kind of some lights near it. And I thought, that's not RF, the signal from the transmitter. That's not the signal doing that, like some sort of electrical phenomena or something like that. It was weird. And, I told my mates, and we all looked up, and you could see them. They were, there were sort of 3 or 4, how can I say, they were glowing a bit. That sounds awful, glowing. They were visible in the dark, I suppose it was glowing. And they were kind of dancing along the aerial wire and going back, like that end of the wire and then back to that end of the wire. And one of us turned the transmitter off, and they just went. They just drifted up and went, which was most peculiar. Now, I knew it couldn't be any sort of electrical phenomenon, damp evening air, the atmosphere was damp, and the RF from the aerial causing this discharge or whatever, like corona discharge. We were running 20 watts, probably only 15. Nowhere near enough power. You want a few kilowatts for that sort of thing to happen. So I sort of discounted that, and that's when someone said, oh, they were probably ghosts. And that's when we all, looked at each other like, that's a thought. Clapham Woods, there's been, we hadn't really given it I hadn't given it any thought, I don't think. So someone turned the transmitter back on. He said, let's see if they come back. Switched it back on, and we all looked up there, and they drifted. I can't remember, 3 or 4 of these sort of light things, glowing balls of light, came to the aerial, like they were attracted to the aerial, and they just hung around, then started going up and down the wire. Now, sometime previous to this, I'd been up the Downs one evening. Probably, I can't remember why. I was looking for another transmitting site, I expect. And I was near an electricity pylon, and it started to rain, very fine drizzle, and you could hear the insulators at the top going like that, fizzing away. And I looked up, and coming down one of the legs of the pylon, the 4 legs, was like a purple, about that long, like a snake. It was just coming down the leg of the pylon. When it got to the ground, disappeared. Then another one came down. Now that was that wasn't ghosts or anything, that was some kind of electrical thing going on. Very high voltage up there, hundreds of thousands of volts. And I never did find out what it was or why. I knew what it was. It was some kind of discharge, some sort of corona discharge or something, working its way down to Earth. I don't know what that was. I recalled that looking at that, and our aerial lights were nothing to do with that sort of thing. As I say, we were running very low power. So then someone's saying about ghosts, and that's when we all thought, this isn't right. Now at that stage, I said to my mate, the one that had been up there first, with me when the kids were there, I said to him, I don't think they were kids in the bushes. We're all looking up at these lights. I said, I don't think they were kids in the bushes. We didn't ever see anyone. We just saw these shapes and heard rustling. I said, I don't think they were kids. And he said, well, what are you saying? They were ghosts? I said, well, you tell me. I said, what are they? Are they the things that were in the bushes? And we were frightening ourselves. In fact, it ended up, the others went off. They said, we're going. We each had our own car. They went off. I left the 2 of us there. We're sort of looking up at the light. When I say they went off, they didn't run off. Well, they were scared. They were scared. They probably wouldn't admit that. But they cleared off. They're not staying here. So we're looking up at these lights. Turned the transmitter off, and they drifted up into the trees and sort of dispersed. Hitting my light now. Look, I'm scaring myself now. As I'm saying this, I'm remembering it, and it's all coming back. We put the transmitter on again, and they came back to the wire, up and down the wire, and we just stood there basically watching them. This wasn't a good idea because we were flattening the car battery. It was fully charged, ready for tomorrow's transmission, which was an hour long, and we're just standing there flattening the car battery, watching these lights. After a while, we decided that we're not going to stay there all night. We switched the transmitter off. We thought, well, go. We'll cover it up with a sheet. It was it was dark by now. I mean, there was a bit of moonlight. It wasn't like pitch black, so we couldn't see where you're going. There was a bit of moonlight. So we covered the transmitter up. We turned it off. The lights had gone, and we put the sheet over, kicking leaves all over it. You couldn't really see the aerial wire going up. It was all well hidden, and we decided that we went out onto the path, started walking back towards our cars down on the road, and we heard rustling in the bushes. So at this stage, we're looking around like, this isn't kids anymore. We're not thinking about kids. We're thinking ghosts. Silly though it seemed. And we're looking around, and we could see in the bushes these kind of light things, like had been on the aerial, the discs or balls of light or whatever they were, hovering about in the bushes. And my mate, he was a bit bolder than me, went over to this bush, and the lights cleared off, went over there, like ever so quick, and they're over here. So he's walking after, and I'm saying, no, come on, let's go, let's clear off, I'm not staying here. You know. So he's chasing them around the place. And eventually, we're almost back at the car. We could hear the traffic on the road. Not that there was a lot of traffic in those days, which was nice. We're almost back to the cars. And he's ran towards this bush. And there were, I think there were three. There were four at one stage, but three of these lights just came out. And they're hovering above us. Like the three just hovering above us. Or even now, I feel the hairs on my neck standing up. And I'm just looking up like, what's going on? That was no sort of form of electrical phenomenon or anything. I said to him, come on, let's go, I'm off, and I'm heading towards my car, fast, like running, as you would do. He was sort of following me, but I don't know, he was strange. He didn't seem at all frightened. I'll admit, I was scared. I mean, what were these things? As I got into my car, I looked out. I started the engine. I looked out the window. I said, "Yeah, I'll see you down the pub." And one of these lights was, and I could see a face in it. I thought I could see a face in it. I mean, that might be my imagination. I don't know. It was like a girl's face, a young girl's face. In this, only a glimpse as I looked like that. I thought I saw, and then it went, and I just drove off. Even now, I don't know whether that was imagination or what, but the lights weren't imagination. We both saw, well, we'd all seen them. We went down to the pub. We didn't tell the others, they were in the pub, we didn't tell the others what had happened. It sounds a bit daft. I mean, they'd seen the lights around the aerial, and they probably, they were saying later on about the RF and the aerial, some electrical thing. I think because they'd run off, they were trying to make light of it, and it wasn't anything, it wasn't ghosts or anything like that. I knew what we'd seen, and my mate, we knew it wasn't electrical. I don't know what it was. Was it ghosts? I don't know what it was. I went back another time, but that's another video. I went back another time, one evening when it was getting dark, and you think that was scary. What happened the next time was even worse, or even better, depending on the way you look at it. But I'll save that for another time. Thanks for watching.